After 5 long years of building my tech startup from nothing but a laptop in my parents' basement to a multi-million-dollar enterprise, I finally decided to reward myself. The countless sleepless nights, skipped weekends, and ramen-only dinner months had finally paid off when our company was acquired by a Fortune 500 corporation. The payout wasn't life-changing by billionaire standards. But at 29 years old, I suddenly found myself with more money than I ever imagined possible. I had just moved into the Willow Glen neighborhood 6 months ago, a beautiful suburb with manicured lawns and picturesque homes that had always seemed like an impossible dream for a kid who grew up in the rougher parts of the city. Most of the neighbors had been friendly enough during my move-in, with the exception of Karen Delaney and her son Brent, who lived directly across from me. From the very beginning, Karen would purse her lips whenever we made eye contact, and I'd catch her eyeing me suspiciously when I retrieved my mail or washed my modest Honda Civic in the driveway. Her son, a pale, overweight 20-something who never seemed to leave the house except to hover beside his mother with the same disapproving glare, was equally cold. I had hoped time would ease whatever reservations they had. But after half a year of awkward nods and turned backs, I gave up and focused on the neighbors who had welcomed me, like the elderly couple next door who brought homemade peach cobbler or the young family down the street who invited me to their summer barbecue. Everything changed on a sunny Saturday in April when my dream car, a gleaming yellow Lamborghini Aventador, was delivered to my driveway. I had saved photos of this exact model for years, studied every detail, and promised myself that if I ever made it, this would be my one extravagant purchase. As the delivery truck lowered the car onto my driveway, I couldn't stop grinning. The sun bounced off the pristine paint job like a beacon. "Mr. Campbell," the delivery driver called. "Jace Campbell." "That's me," I said, still grinning. "Just sign here. She's all yours." As I signed, I noticed movement across the street. Karen Delaney stood on her porch, mouth agape, her son Brent quickly joining her. I gave them a friendly wave, hoping this milestone might be a bridge. Little did I know it was the match to the fuse. I spent that afternoon sitting in the driver's seat, getting used to the controls, the smell of leather, the purr of the engine. I didn't drive it that day. I wanted to savor it. As I was polishing a small smudge around sunset, I heard a throat clear behind me. Karen stood at the edge of my driveway, arms crossed in her pink blazer. Brent hovered behind her, eyes fixed on the car. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "Quite the vehicle." "Yes, ma'am. Been saving up for this for years." "Saving?" she repeated as if the word was foreign. "And what exactly do you do, Mr. Campbell?" "I owned a software company. We were recently acquired." She squinted. "It just seems flashy for this neighborhood. We pride ourselves on modesty here in Willow Glen." I glanced at her 3-car garage housing a Mercedes and a Lexus. There aren't any HOA restrictions on vehicle types. I checked. It's not about restrictions. It's about consideration for your neighbors. That car is loud and inappropriate. Before I could respond, Brent spoke for the first time. "How fast does it go?" "About 220 miles per hour. Not that I'll be testing that in the suburbs." Brent turned to his mother. "Mom, I want one." She patted his arm. "Maybe next year, sweetie. Once you find a job." She turned back to me, her expression sharpening. "You should know that this neighborhood values tradition. We worry when new elements change that." I tilted my head. "New elements, Mrs. Delaney? People who don't understand the values we hold dear." And there it was. It wasn't that I was new. It was that I was black and new. The next weekend, I took the car for a coastal drive. When I returned, I noticed Karen talking to a police officer in her yard, gesturing toward me. As I stepped out, she called, "That's him, officer. That's the suspicious individual." "Good afternoon," the officer said, approaching. "Do you live here?" "Yes." "Jace Campbell. 6 months now." Mrs. Delaney reported suspicious activity and sudden displays of wealth. I laughed bitterly. "Officer, I recently sold my tech company. It's been covered in the news." He nodded. "Do you have ID?" I provided it along with the press release from my phone. He reviewed both. "Everything checks out," he said, turning to Karen. "Mr. Campbell is a legal homeowner with documented income." "But what about the noise?" she snapped. "He's disturbing the peace." "My elderly neighbor, Mr. Alvarez called from his porch." The only noise in this neighborhood is Brent's video games at 2 a.m. Karen. Jace's car is quiet as a whisper. With several other neighbors nodding, the officer closed his notebook. Let's all try to be good neighbors. Karen turned red. Brent stared at the ground. 3 days later, Brent showed up at my door alone. Can I talk to you? I stepped outside. Could I drive your Lamborghini just once? Sorry, no. It's a safety issue. What about a ride? Just around the block. Not appropriate, Brent. Especially behind your mom's back. She says you probably do drugs to afford it. I stayed calm. I worked hard. Your mom doesn't know me. She says you ruined the neighborhood. That's not true. Karen's voice rang out. Brent, get away from him. She stormed over. I told you to stay away from him. Your son came here on his own, I said. When I said no, he accused me of being a drug dealer. Karen sneered. People like you don't belong in Willow Glen. By people, you mean black? How dare you? This has nothing to do with race. He won't give me a ride, Mom, Brent whined. Karen's tone shifted. Maybe we can come to an arrangement. Let him borrow it now and then. I was stunned. You called the cops on me. Spread rumors. And now you want to borrow my car. See, this is what I mean. You don't understand community values. Mrs. Delaney, please leave my property. She glared. You'll regret this. Come on, Brent. Mommy will fix this. The next 2 weeks were chaos. Noise complaints, crude flyers, motor oil dumped on my lawn caught on camera. Then Brent destroyed my mailbox with a bat, Karen idling in the car. I filed police reports each time. The last straw came when they blocked my garage. Mr. Campbell, Karen said. We want compensation. Brent is depressed from your flaunting. You want what? Sell us the car at 75% off or let him drive it. 3 days a week. I laughed. You're delusional. Karen exploded. Do you know who I am? My husband was on the city council. Officer Brooks. I called. Did you get that? The officer stepped out of a cruiser. Got it all. Karen blanched. This is entrapment. Actually, the officer replied, it's harassment and extortion. Brent cried. Karen sputtered. The officer calmly placed them under investigation. Legal action followed swiftly. Vandalism, harassment, and attempted extortion charges were filed. With video evidence, witness statements, and past behavior revealed by neighbors, there was no hiding. Karen took a plea, fines, community service, sensitivity training. Brent paid restitution, completed counseling. 3 weeks later, a moving truck appeared. Karen moved away. Brent moved into a small apartment. 6 months after that, I hosted a block party. Neighbors came together, including the new family who moved into Karen's house. Mr. Alvarez raised a toast to new beginnings, real community, and roaring engines. I smiled, knowing that change had come and it was for the better.